Here we go, we're gonna learn some stuff. We're gonna have lots of fun with English things. We're gonna go on an English journey with each other. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. English journey. Hello, it's me, Mr. Nichols. I just want to take you as briefly as I can through the research presentation video today. Because it is worth 10% of your final grade in the class, and so I wanted to give you the background on what it is that you have to present. I'm actually going to jump ahead. Usually I would talk a bit first about what we're doing, and then we'd move on to the slide. But I think it's important to jump right in and just talk about, because I've got the slides look pretty good, and I think that it covers this stuff pretty decently from the very beginning. So I know there's people who are going to be scared about this thing, but just let me tell you that while it is worth 10% of your final grade, I generally grade it pretty easily. You get 100 just about no matter what you do, as long as you cover the information that's required on the next couple slides. You're not graded on like how you present yourself. Like, I mean, as long as you wear, clothes within reason, as long as we can tell what you're saying and see you, that's about all you really have to do in terms of, you don't have to worry how you're saying things, basically. You're not going to be discounted for slurring or mumbling or stuttering or any of that kind of stuff, repeating yourself. It doesn't have to be a flawless like fluency of presentation. It just has to cover all the content that I'm asking for. It'd be pretty hypocritical for me to judge people on the fluency of their communication when I'm often all over the place. So what is it you have to do? Here are the steps, okay? So there's the video presentation, which is 2 minutes. You post the YouTube link to that video after you uploaded it to a discussion forum. So you get it to YouTube, then you put it on a Blackboard discussion forum, which we've been doing all semester with the discussion posts. You'll ask 2 other people questions about their presentations, and then other people will ask you 2 questions of your presentation, which you will then be required to answer. So basically the 5 things you're actually receiving a grade on submitting to Blackboard are the YouTube link in its own post, 2 questions to other people's posts, and 2 answers to the questions people asked you. Once you've done those 5 things, I have it set in Blackboard where it'll tell me that you're done, and then I will grade it. So what does the video presentation that is 2 minutes have to contain? Well, you're going to present why you chose your topic. So just what does it cause you to come up with it? Like, did you like the story? Did you like the real world issue? Did you think of one first and the other? No, like. Then you'll state your thesis, because it's important in this particular case to start with the thesis, because you're going to mention the human problem that connects the two, mention which story you're doing, real world issue. Then you're going to talk about the comparison, and then it's apply the importance of comparison. So hopefully you've thought about like what human problem connects. It's whether it's disrespect, selfishness, pride, greed, any of those sorts of things. Then, and this is a little different than your 1301 presentation if you've presented with me before, you're not going over any of your articles. You are literally going over the arguments within your paper that help prove your thesis. And that's all you're going to do. You're not going to talk about your articles at all. You're really going to talk about the argument you made, and the articles, all they really did in the paper was help you make the argument that you designed yourself. So the articles aren't really that necessary to bring up when you're talking about it in your presentation. But basically, as long as you mention your thesis, briefly over each point in your argument, cover why you chose your topic. Doesn't matter in what order you cover them. So I already kind of broke this down with the thesis a second ago on the last slide. Human problem, story, real world issue, how they compare, importance of comparison. And then going over the arguments in the paper, it's like when I read the sample paper, you saw that I was talking about how it, talked about how the town treats the person for never having taken an aggressive action against them, how they both conduct themselves at funerals or events that generally garner respect, how they both haven't learned the lesson that they should learn from the actions that they're taking, and how neither one of them follows the rule set that they have given to them by the Bible, which is the rule book that both of those groups follow. So he labels them as hypocrites, and hypocrites are the human problem. So he's talking about the hypocrisy throughout the paper, and he has a whole paragraph at the beginning about that. So I think it's important to talk about the importance of the human problem, maybe when you're going your outlines. You don't have to have an outline, but if you made one for yourself. Now, once you've made your presentation, you've posted it, and then you have to go ask questions. What about the questions? So first, let's talk about how many questions and which post to ask questions on. Let's do that first. So you must only ask 2 questions. You must ask these 2 questions on different presentation threads. You can't ask both on the same. Now, whenever you show up to ask questions, always ask questions on the 2 oldest presentations that don't yet have 2 questions asked. And what I mean by this is, let's say that you show up, you submit your presentation, and your presentation pops in right here, right? And I believe it usually shows the newest ones at the top and the oldest at the bottom by default, which I can't change. So the oldest go down to the bottom. It may even arrange it by old, like most recent one that has a reply on it, which is terrible, but still you would go down to the bottom and always try to find the one that had been addressed longest ago. So you go here and you look, and that one's got 2 questions already, so you skip it. The next one has like 2 questions, so you skip it. And you keep going like that until you find one that only has 1 question or 0, and you immediately watch that presentation and ask a question. And the very next one up from there, if there is one that has 1 or 0, you ask a question and then go from there. And after you've asked 2 questions of presentations that didn't yet have 2, you're free to move on. So once a presentation thread has 2 questions, like I was showing you on the very complicated hand website on the board, consider that thread to be locked and then move on. Do not ask questions without viewing that person's presentation. It becomes abundantly clear when somebody does that because they seem to have no knowledge of what it was. I will be viewing the presentations as well, so if you do ask a question and I see that question and I go, what does this have to do with the presentation? That would be kind of embarrassing for you. It might negatively affect your grade, which I usually give 100, but if I can tell that you're not paying attention to what was being said, then that's going to factor in. And do not ask a question without viewing the entire presentation. I've noticed that sometimes people will ask a question like, did any of your articles mention Black Lives Matter? When that was literally something they mentioned in the last 30 seconds of their presentation. So they asked the question without ever actually viewing the whole thing. Now, if after the first few presentations have been posted, you notice the first 3 or 4 presentation threads are already maxed out of questions, and as a result, you're unable to post any additional questions, either from people breaking the rules and posting any questions or something, you may then break the max question rule, but that's just if you post your thread and there are no other threads that are free to ask questions. I don't know how that would happen. It would just basically, if somebody got a little overzealous and asked a question to everybody, but please don't do that. If you can help it, just ask 2 of the ones that are not maxed out. Now, that is the format for when you can ask questions and how much of the presentation you have to view, but what kinds of questions can we ask? So I don't want you asking any questions that are unrelated to the material or that could be technically asked verbatim of everybody. Also, I don't want you to ask any questions that require the presenter to give up their personal feelings or opinions on the topic. Nor should you ask anything that can be universally asked of a number of different topics, because students will often figure out questions that seem to work for everybody and then ask the same question over and over again. Do not do that. So here's an example of some general questions like, what was your favorite article? Don't ask questions like that, because literally it could be the same question asked of everybody. What were some statistics on that? That's been really common recently because people are like, oh, Nichols likes statistics. Let me just ask, what are some statistics? But the question itself is so general that it's useless. Then we have the personal ones, like what do you personally think about this topic? No, don't ask that. Have you ever had to personally experience this? Students will ask that all the time. Do you know anybody personally who's had to deal with this? Don't ask that, because one time I had a question where somebody did their topic was suicide, and somebody said, "Have you ever known anybody who tried to commit suicide?" And I was like, "What the hell?" And they were like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh, please don't answer that." And they were like, "No, I want to." And then they answered, and they were getting emotional. Everybody was crying. I was like, "What in the hell is happening?" Because imagine that had gone bad, and that person didn't want to answer, or that people in the room were, triggered by that traumatic event that had experienced in their own life, and then that caused them to have some sort of relapse, or then they freak out, or something happened. Like, I just want to avoid that ever happening again. So please refrain from doing those sorts of things. Instead, ask these kinds of questions that are specific and they're attentive, but they're objective. So, for example, did the author of your methamphetamine article explain what makes them so addictive as opposed to marijuana? See, that's good. It's specific. It has to do with the topic of the presentation. Or is fracking legal in all 50 states? You say it's a problem, but was your paper only really about a few states? So again, that's attentive, specific, and objective. Now, the format for the answers to the questions is we're talking now about if once people have asked you questions, and you do have to wait for this, like you post your video, you go ask other people questions, but you're not going to see questions asked of you immediately. You'll have to come and check periodically and see if people have asked you questions. There's some sort of subscribing element to this thing, and I don't really know how that works, but I think you can sometimes subscribe to a post, and it'll let you do that. So just I don't really know how that works, but if you can, it will inform you that somebody has asked you a question. That'd be great. But who do I answer and how do I answer? So if you have more than 3 questions that are asked of you, only answer 2. I don't know why you'd have more than 3 since I said lock it at 2, but it could happen. Only answer 2, and answer the 2 you like the most. Do not answer with a simple yes or no. If you have to answer with a yes, like if somebody asks you a very general question, like why, like, did you like this topic, or something like that, say like yes, but don't just answer with a simple yes. You just say it's like, yes, I liked this topic. I really enjoyed Good Man Is Hard to Find, and I wanted to find some way I could relate to the real world, and abortion seemed like a good idea because I think it was a pretty big element of the election and deciding how people would vote. So getting to look into the opinions that people have of the topic of abortion was something that I enjoyed very much since it helped me learn more about society. Be detailed, basically. Don't just give some general answer back. Now, if by some chance there are 3 questions about your presentation, you may pick the 2 you want to answer, like I told you. If there's only 2, though, just answer those, of course. Now, the video requirements for the presentation. So this must be a YouTube link for the video, just like before on the intro video. That my actual main purpose for that intro video, though I do like them now that I've assigned them, was to, in an environment that didn't really have a lot of, what would you say, consequence. It wasn't a high stakes environment. You were kind of given the leeway to figure out the whole YouTube issue in as much time as it took you, record a video, get it posted, and then only I would see it. But you've gone through that whole YouTube process now. However, in this case, you will be doing the same YouTube process. It's just that you'll be posting it, the unlisted link, and other people will be viewing this time. So there's that one added element. Additionally, you'll be posting it to a discussion post thread instead of having to do some weird screenshot junk. So it'll be a little easier in the way you post it, but still, you've got that knowledge already of YouTube. Also, anybody can open YouTube generally, so it's a good method to use. Now, when you record the video, you may record it on a computer or on your phone. You can record it directly in YouTube. There is also a camera app on most Windows computers where you just type in camera and it pops up. Now, this is actually my webcam on this computer. It's right there on the monitor. However, I'm recording for this lesson on that cam. So I actually have 2 cameras connected right now that I'm able to find a video output for. This computer is so nice that it actually isn't taxing the computer at all, which is, I'm going to miss that because I'm going to have to take this computer off very, very soon. Got my cord draped over my laptop screen, so I know I'm losing it soon. But If you record on your phone, I think we're all aware how to record phone video. Just be aware that phone video tends to be very large, which we'll address here soon. When you're recording, inside or outside is fine. I've noticed that inside usually has better audio. However, outside has better video. Inside you look a little more kempt, but outside you look a little more like wind disheveled and stuff. The best lighting is outside. That's why generally it looks better. If you can record in the shade but outside, that generally well lights you but keeps your background dark, and that's what provides the best video. But if you don't have that option of recording outside, I would first of all say that don't record on a breezy day. It tends to work best too, like near a porch or something, because then you're able to get under something where the wind doesn't blow a lot, which won't hit your microphone. And if you record inside, that's perfectly fine. Just be aware that you'll need to turn on as many lights as possible to get the best video quality. Usually the audio quality is good by default because it's quiet. You can wear formal wear or casual clothes. I think it'd be hilarious if somebody wore a suit. I think somebody did that one time actually, but you don't have to. Nor do I really prefer you to. I mean, in the sample video I'm going to show you here in a few minutes, I'm wearing an X-Men t-shirt and something that holds my hair back because it was back when we couldn't get haircuts. Actually, right now the coronavirus is as bad as it's ever been, so that's why my hair is long again. It's probably going to stay long. I'm probably not going to go through a lot of effort to cut it until people stop dying again. Now you can go straight through or repeat yourself a lot because, like I told you, you can be formal, informal, and with the speaking element, you could be repetitive, stutter, fall over yourself, have to stop, collect yourself, start up again. I don't really care, and that can all happen on video. Like, I'm not judging you on those elements. I'm not grading you on those elements. I'm grading you only on the content. It's almost like, it doesn't matter whether I'm eating a sandwich bite by bite or I've blended the sandwich up and it's in a smoothie and I drink it all, and it doesn't really matter how I take it in. One, you might think, well, that would be very gross. But think about me as a grader. As long as I get the caloric content, the vitamins, everything that's within that sandwich into my body, it doesn't matter how I get it in there. So I'm only grading you on the content. I'm only grading you whether you gave me the proper nourishment. Probably the best metaphor I've ever come up with for presentation content. My suggestion then is, because I'm not grading on those elements, go with your first or second take. Don't do 50 takes. In fact, it's really weird, but on the last video that I did for the 1301 class, I did like 7 takes of the first 5 minutes because I kept going off topic. But this video, I seem to have been fine in handling it in 1 take. I think because I've already gone through the whole thing once. And I'm doing it faster, which is strange. But just don't go crazy trying to get the perfect recording. It's generally very hard to get the perfect recording, so I don't want you to overly stress yourself out in that regard. Now, in the presentation instructions themselves, here is how you actually submit it. So Magnus Baraka has already submitted his research paper. He's a really good student. And as a result, since Magnus Baraka has already submitted his research paper, I will go submit his video for presentation so you can see what that will look like. The recording of the sample presentation I will show later. Oh, excuse me. I'm assuming everybody knows how to log into Blackboard at this point. Oh, excuse me. And I'm going to go to weekly course content. I'm going to scroll down to week 13. I'm getting really dry-throated. I don't know why. Sometimes you get like a dry patch in your throat. I'm probably going to drink in a second. But this video you're likely watching here, but then down here, past these 2 posts, you see the presentation link for the research paper. Just click there and you'll notice that it requires you to create a thread. So you will, just like usual, go in and create a thread. It tells you what to do is to create a thread by posting an original post with your, and I'm gonna show you how that's supposed to go. So when you go to the create thread button, it has all these descriptions here, but just follow what I'm about to do. And I'm going to change up those videos that you see in the description now if you're watching in the video. So those might not be accurate because I'm going to change it out with this video that I'm doing now. But you're essentially going to call your thing Magnus Baraka and research presentation. You can add the word video if you want to. It's not restricted. And then all you do is you go get that link. There it is. There's my Magnus Baraka Research President English 1302. Thank you for my customized menu. I'm very happy. Thank you for growing my team. Will you please stop? Thank you. And then, you know, it's 2 to 3 minutes that you have to make for the video, at least 2 minutes. So 3:51. I mean, it's Nichols. I couldn't help myself. And then what you'll do is copy the little link here, the video link. I don't know how that works on the phone, but you hit the copy video link and it copies it to your clipboard. That is a invisible place where the thing you've copied is stored temporarily. And then I go back over here and I paste it in. I believe because of the way they've changed this to the, says powered by Tiny. I don't know what Tiny is, but I've noticed that in the last few days, maybe like last week, I call it API, but I don't know if that's the right word, but whatever tool they have in the web page that allows you to type and edit documents, they have changed that to something a little more robust, and I believe that now when you paste in links, those links pop up as links. So that's all you gotta do. You submit, and you have a presentation. Now, let's pretend for a moment that 2 other students came along as well, and we have Magnus Baraka research presentation, and he's also going to submit a presentation. And please don't browse local files because that'll add too much or take away free space on our whatever cloud drive is that we have access to through Blackboard. And I think if we go too much on the data, like we might have to pay for extra access, so that would cause a problem for like all students. I don't know if that's true. That's generally. And then we have brush, Flimmy Flam, and research presentation, and then it hits the same link, but pretend they're all different links basically. I'm gonna take a little quick drink break. Hold on. Okay, sorry about that. Still feel kind of coffee, but still had to. So I'm Magnus Baraka, and I posted my presentation, but other people have posted presentations as well. And let's say that those people came after they posted their presentations, they saw mine, and they wanted to ask questions to it. So they said, one of them said, were the Westboro Baptist Church people real? Did any of them ever get arrested? They seem kind of crazy, and it's hard to believe they aren't made up. So submit. And let's say somebody else comes along and they go, how were you able to make a religious argument in your paper? I thought we couldn't do that. Which isn't quite the kind of question I'm looking for, but he asked it. So those questions have been asked, and let's say that Magnus Baraka, right after he got done, he asked questions of, as soon as he noticed other people had posted, he came back and he posted questions to them as well. So when he saw Magnus Baraka posts, he replied and asked them a question and said, hey, no, I don't have that anchor. Keep formatting, it's fine. Remove formatting, there we go. So it displays properly. And then we have this question. Let's say we ask that to Brush when we Submit. So let's say that right when Magnus Baraka notices that there are 2 more posts that he can go to and ask questions of, he finds these and he asks some questions, okay? And let's assume that they're not the exact same questions he asked. These are supposed to be different videos, and let's pretend like he's asking different questions. But then he notices finally that Brish Brosh and Schmagnus figured out how to post questions to him. So he's like, okay, finally, questions that I can answer. So he's already posted his YouTube video. He's asked 2 questions. Now he has to answer the 2 questions asked of him. So he sees, okay, were they real? Did any of them ever get arrested? They seem kind of crazy. I believe they don't make it up. I mean, yeah, obviously they are, because I thought the same thing. Yes, they are real, but they aren't as real now as they were then. Their main leader / preacher / pastor guy, oh crap, what was his name? Westboro Baptist. I've already seen this before, apparently. Yeah. Oh, it's actually the same. It's the exact article. Blah, blah, blah. Reverend Fred Phelps. Their main leader, picture of Fred Phelps, has since died. And since he has died, a lot of their rancor has died down. It's a really cool word to use, by the way, rancor. Bitterness or resentfulness, especially when long-standing. It's a cool word. So I answered that question. That's one question answered. And then we're able to make how were we able to, I thought we couldn't do that. Well, it's not really related to my topic, but I can make it related to my topic. And I'll say, I asked Nichols about that when I got it approved, and he said it was fine because I wasn't really arguing for or against religion, just that these particular people who use this religious text to judge others aren't paying attention to the specific parts that actually ban judgment. So it's more in line with hypocrisy than in trying to make a religious argument. And so I've answered the question. So I've got 2 answered questions on my post. I have posted my post, and I went to 2 other people and I asked them questions. I can just go verify. Do I have one here? Yeah, there's mine. And then do I have one here? There's mine. Awesome. So now that I've gone and I've answered, I've posted my YouTube link. And by the way, I don't think I mentioned this, but if you've got your video recorded on YouTube, you just go to the create button, if that's on mobile as well, upload that video, give it a title, and then make sure you have it as unlisted. If you have it as private, nobody will be able to see it but yourself, and that's not useful. And if you have it as public, you have to be aware that once it's public, it is searchable, and I don't know how people find these things, but there was one time when I saw a student had posted a presentation and somebody commented on it like, yeah, you looking good, shorty. And I was like, and it was like a, I don't know, 50-year-old dude or something. I was like, oh, why? That's gross. So yeah, please be aware that only unlisted is what you should be doing. That way only people who have the link itself will be able to view it, not anybody who can search. So please never ever do the public option. Let's see. You will then post that into Blackboard where I saw. So what you're going to do is, we've already done that stuff, presentations, ask the questions once you've done that. Now, unless the video is terrible, and I mean like offensive in some way, or doesn't even mention the research paper or topic, I mean you're going to get 100 on this thing. The in-class presentation grades I usually give are almost always 100, so that's what I'm using sort of as a template. And this will technically be due by Friday, December 4th at 11:59 p.m., but I will still accept it after that. Just keep in mind that you may want to submit it a little earlier if you want to actually be done by December 4th at that time, because if everybody waits until the very last minute to submit, then there won't be anybody to reply to ask questions of, and then that's going to throw a wrench in people's plans. Now, YouTube help. There is actually still in the class at the beginning of the semester the video help still there in week 2, I think, or 3. No, it's the wrong place. Where I show everybody how to upload assignments, submitting from Word, Google Docs, submitting the info form, and recording the YouTube intro video. So at the 33-minute mark in that video, and you can click that and it takes you there. Just tell me that you get it. That's really weird. Why am I doing that? Oh, yeah. I guess I did the showing them how. So right there, recording the intro video, the information, submitting it to YouTube as an unlisted video, and copy paste the unlisted link to the information form. It basically takes you through all the steps of the process that are relevant here. You can see that while I do go to the form and I find the video, it shows me how I'm recording a video and then submitting that video. And I hit submit and I got the link and stuff, and that's from my phone. I also did it from the computer and show how that would go on YouTube. So you can see I take you through the whole steps of the process if you so need it. So there is that help as well back in week 2. I would suggest doing this from your Dragon Mill account. I already talked about making it unlisted. It's possible to record directly to YouTube, I think. I still think it's better to record to your phone first, because if you record to YouTube, you might lose it if you don't save it. So it's not worth it. I think you should just record to your phone first. It's unfortunate if you do like a whole 3-minute presentation, find out you weren't recording. It'd be very, very unfortunate. Now, if you live out in the country, you may need to come to town and park next to PJC to upload your video, because especially if people have like iPhones but live out in the country, iPhones are notorious for taking very large video, like 2 or 3 minute video might be 1 or 2 gigs. And if you upload that from country internet, it might take a day. And YouTube is not that great. I mean, if you have stable internet that'll keep a web page open that long, then YouTube's pretty decent for uploading things over time. The problem is most videos upload when most people are on urban internet, they can upload a video within 5 or 10 minutes, even the biggest videos. So they don't really see a need to work that hard. I don't think on making sure web pages stay open all day if you're logged in. So it's best to maybe come up to the PJC Wi-Fi and submit from there if you don't have access to fast internet anywhere else. And then now I can go to the sample presentation video and show you exactly what he does and what he does well. So I'm going to go over here to the YouTube video. We'll just watch it here. No, not that. I was trying to go from here to there. I might take that little accidental click out. So here we have Magnus Baraka's research presentation for 1302. It would also work for 2322 or 2323. That's a lot of views. Oh, I see. Because that one semester. Gotcha. Makes sense. So here we go. Let's watch it. Okay, so looks like I'm doing my presentation. So, okay, here it is. Why I chose my topic. I remember seeing something in the news about the Webster Baptist Church. I wondered who they were, and I looked them up. And then I kind of reconnected with the short story about that preacher, the minister's Blackfield. Luckily, Nichols said that they were different enough to work, and hypocrisy linked them. I was worried because they had like funerals in them, and like there was a preacher and another, I thought it was too similar, but he said okay. So my thesis was Hawthorne's portrayal of the hypocritical townsfolk in the minister's Blackfield is nearly identical to the protest of the Webster Baptist Church in the sense that both have a profound love of morality, only those around them commit sin there themselves. Sorry, you might hear like TV and my family background, but who doesn't these days? My main points of my argument is, I don't know if I have to mention this, but I had an introduction, where I talked about hypocrisy was the human problem, and Ministers Blackfield was the story, and Webster Baptist Church was the real world issue.
Basically, it's the God hate fags people. Like they hold the signs up at the military funerals to protest gays in the military, something like that. Huh? Basically, they get onto the people in the book or the story get onto Hooper for acting different. He goes against a societal norm. The same thing with Baptist Church. They don't like the gays. How they go against a Christian norm. So there's that connection there. It seems kind of lame at first, but it's not that lame. Respect at funerals was my next point. How Hooper has respect, but the townspeople gossip about him, and then the families have respect at the military funerals, but the Westboro Church gossip about him, them. Gossip. They hold up signs that say God hates fags. It's not respectful. And there's moral judgment. So, like, interestingly, there hasn't been a moral judgment against Webster Baptist Church yet, at least from within. In the story, though, at the very end of the story, like, everybody's judging him the whole time, and at the very end of the story, he says, "You think I'm wearing a veil, but I look out and I see you're all wearing a veil." So you can see, like, that's kind of like the moral, like, hit at the end, where it's like, you think I'm wearing it, but you're actually all wearing it. You have a separation between each other. I don't have a separation. You look at my thing as a separation, which makes you separate. So it's kind of circular, but whatever. But it hasn't happened with Westboro. They haven't seen the separation they put between themselves and others yet. They don't see the hatefulness. And then I kind of connected with Bible verses because, I mean, there's tons of Bible verses that would work, but he said it was okay. I asked him. Nichols said it was okay. Yeah. But in this case, like the story, John 7:24, do not judge by appearance, but judge by judgment.
You'd have to mention the exact
verses. They're judges.
If you want to.
And in the Western Baptist Church with James 4:12, there's only one lawgiver and judge. He was able to save and destroy, but who are you to judge your neighbor? Well, they're judging the crap out of their neighbors. And in closing, I basically said townsfolk wear black veil. They resemble each other because they fail to directly comply with their faith that they claim to have profound morality for. They blatantly judge those around them. They would go against those who go against the societal norm, and they create hypocrisy in the attempt to make these judgments.
Okay.
That was it. I welcome your questions, and hopefully you can get over the fact that I was a little bit haggard and you can hear cartoons playing in the background. So I thank you for that. Okay, how do I stop this?
Okay, so that is that. That is how you do it. And super simple. I don't know if I'm going to cut the video in later because the audio will work better that way. I'm not really sure. So you may have just seen me watch on YouTube, or you may have seen it put in. But if you look at, we just watched him record his presentation over sex education. I've already shown you how to post the presentation to YouTube, or like where to go. Show you how to post this presentation to Blackboard, and then show you how to do views and replies to other people in Blackboard. The only thing I didn't show was the planning of the presentation, so I'm going to show you real quick. I think I have a folder open that would take us there, maybe. Documents, Camtasia, Studio, I believe. Probably will cut out this because people are going to get very confused, saying I have thicker than a bowl of oatmeal sitting here. Yeah, I'll just wait till I get past it and then I'll cut it out. It's hard to finish research paper presentation video assignment. Is that it? Yes. So here we have this video, and you can see this is like a bunch of this is old stuff, but what I had with me when I was presenting was I wrote like a little outline. You don't have to do this, but I thought it'd be easier for me to talk about if I did it. So I did like my intro with hypocrisy, Minister I Fail, West Roses Church, the thesis, because I knew I had to read that specifically. Kind of summed up each paragraph. So there was the going against societal norm bit, the respect at funerals, the moral judgment.
And then take them to the paper. Right? I gotta look again.
Wait.
Let's see. So let's record. And portrayal of the hypocritical townsman.
And so I did that. Wow. I think I even might have written down like doing the outline, but that was a while back. Coming up with it? No, I just for some reason just had it. But you can see how I like basically broke it down into like the stuff that the presentation was going to contain. You don't have to do that, but that kind of thing has always been something that I like to do because I like to have something to go off of when I'm doing some kind of formal presentation. Because as you know, I have a tendency to wander. And when you're wandering in a presentation that's supposed to take a specific amount of time, it can be problematic. So that is how you might plan the presentation. And just so you're aware, you saw I was just wearing an X-Men t-shirt. I had like a thing around my head to hold my hair. I was playing with my hair. Wasn't really being exuberant. I wasn't even sitting up straight. I was laying back in a chair. Wasn't really an interesting background. The lighting wasn't perfect. The audio wasn't perfect. Although honestly, I do love the audio on these Asus computers. They're very good. It's very clear because I think the sound bounces off the table and then goes in the microphone underneath. I think that's how it works, but I don't really know. But the video doesn't have to be perfect as a result. You don't have to make sure that it's completely and totally so polished that like, I mean, you could send it into a competition or anything like that. You know, just wear what you got. Make sure it's not inappropriate or anything. Don't be offensive in any way. And you should be fine. As long as you're covering all the material that's supposed to be covered, you know, how you came with the topic of your thesis, and then going over the main points in your argument, kind of like I showed there in that little outline just a second ago, you should be fine. I do suggest using notes. It tends to work best, go a little bit faster. Handwritten, typed, your phone, doesn't really matter. I just suggest typing something down. Now, I'm definitely going to go easy on those who present. I'm not going to be hard again. Like I said, on the grades, it's going to be fairly easily graded. But if you don't do anything, I won't go easy on that. You just won't get any points, so just be aware of that. I do make sure you've done all the aspects of submission, though, because if you don't do all the aspects, I can't grade it. I do wish you very good luck. And I mean, I think that that's all I really have to mention. I can't think of any other things that are really big and have to be mentioned, other than the only thing this is the last big thing left in the course, besides the final exam, which you probably are exempt from your essay average if you're made it this far. Then there's the Launchpad labs. If you haven't done the Launchpad labs, please do the Launchpad labs. You've only got a few days left at this point, I think. Maybe like a week or two. And those are worth 15% of your grade, even more than this. So it's good to get all those done. And then there's, if you want to calculate your grade, like again, after you see the research presentation grade, I've got it set up to where all the categories in Blackboard should be calculated correctly, assuming you have everything submitted. And if that's the case, you can either go to that website and type it in rapid tables, or by this point, I should have the Excel grade check form available in the course, where it's been updated with all the grading schema now that we're in coronavirus. And it should allow you to type all of your grades in and see what you're making. That generally only works, though, when you have done everything in the course, or we're at a point in the course where your grade is based on the totality of everything that you've done. And now that the research presentation is done, that is basically all the grades in the course. So once you get your Launchpad stuff done, you only have 100 there. You can calculate all that yourself. I'd love to in the future come up with some link that would take you directly to a website like Rapid Tables, where you can calculate your own grade all the time anyway. You just go into Google and you type grade calculator. But where when you know how sometimes when you copy paste a link to something, but that link has all the conditions of the web page built into it. I wish there was a way I could do that, provide a link where it would actually take you to a version of that web page where all the little things that need to be filled in a certain way are filled in, and all you got to do is add your grades. I've already got that on an Excel file, but again, you have to have access to Excel in order to be able to operate that. So I think that's it. There's not a whole lot left. I mean, just any questions, please email me, especially now that I don't have physical classes that I'm teaching. The email is going to be a great way to keep in contact with me. And I'm just here, so I'm grading and like seeing your emails. So just please email me whenever you get a chance. I have probably had no human contact at this point for like 2 weeks, with the exception of my family. So I'm probably itching for any kind of human contact or feeling that I'm helping. So y'all have a great rest of the semester. If this is the spring, have a great summer. If this is the fall, have a great holiday season. If we're still in coronavirus and you're watching this, make sure that you don't see your family if you can help it, because you very well may bring a sickness to them that kills people, whether in your family or far away. So just try not to do that. That's it. Best of luck, everybody. Bye. Okay. Bye. You're not leaving? Well, fine. I will have to get rid of you the old-fashioned way. And I'm afraid of what would happen if I unplugged the camera while it was going, so I'm just going to block you out. Bye. Bye.
Hey, you! You're finally awake.
Yeah.